Where was Sidon? Or Sidon, however you want to pronounce it.
That was like at the beginning of their voyage, right above Caesarea.
Yeah, so it was north of Caesarea. It was in Lebanon. It's a port in Lebanon, modern day Lebanon, about 75 miles north of Caesarea.
There's a lot of history with Sidon. Is it that Jezebel was from Sidon, or that widow, that Elijah stayed with at that point, at some point in time? Was she from Sidon? There's a lot of that name rings a lot of bells. Mm-hmm.
So after Paul changed ships, what challenge did they encounter in verses 6 through 12? Can I get a volunteer to read verses 6 through 12 again?
And there the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing into Italy, and he put us therein. And when we had sailed slowly many days, and scarce were come over against Cnidus, the wind not suffering us, we sailed unto Crete, over against Salmon. And hardly passing it, came unto a place which is called the Fair Havens, nigh whereunto was the city of Lasea, Lasea. Now, when much time was spent, and when sailing was now dangerous, because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished them, and said unto them, Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the lading and ship, but also of our lives. Nevertheless, the centurion believed the master and the owner of the ship more than those things which were spoken by Paul. And because the haven was not commodious to winter in, the more part advised to depart thence also, if by any means they might attain to Phoenice, and there to winter, which is an haven of Crete, and lieth toward the southwest and northwest. All of that, I felt like I was reading a foreign language, but I think there was some bad weather coming in, either the bad weather or it was winter time.
At some point while you were reading, it gave me the impression that that first ship was just a smaller vessel, not suitable for that voyage west.
Well, remember we said that the original ship was originally from Adramytton, which is northwest Turkey. So they got a ship that was heading for Alexandria, which is North Africa, and so which made sense because that other ship was going to head north. Now maybe they could have gotten that ship it could have been that that original ship they could have taken it all the way to Italy, but a lot of times those ships that ship that was going to Adramytton, it might not have been in the best condition. It might not have been a ship that was maybe built for long distance over the seas. Maybe just a ship to run along the coast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a ship that's just not not suitable for that long, wide sea voyage. Because it did say, I guess it was verse 7. It said that the wind did not allow us to go further. If the issue was just the wind and the weather, regardless what ship they would have taken, it would have still been an issue. But because they were able to, they weren't able to do it in that smaller one, but in a larger one, it can sustain those heavier winds.
It might have been as well that whoever the captain or the master of that Adramyttian ship wasn't familiar with the voyage to Rome, because I would imagine that the various ships had their particular route that they would have been accustomed to. They'd have been accustomed to the winds, to whatever it is that they use to take them here and there. And so maybe that could be part of it as well. I think that that particular ship, its route was from Caesarea to Adramyttium and the coast along there. And that ship, that captain was not comfortable or familiar with the journey from there to Rome. And so maybe they just had to get another ship here.
What was the challenge? What were the challenges they encountered after they changed ships? We're not talking about why they changed the ship. We're talking about what encounters they had after.
The weather,
Yep.
And the wind.
You want to elaborate on that?
well, one of them in verse 9, it does say that the sailing was now dangerous. So back to what you said, just to throw this in, it may not have been about the ship as much as it was about the condition, the sailing conditions. And in 10, he says, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the ship, but also of the lives. So it sounds like they were going to encounter some really bad weather.
Can I read it in my version, ESV version? Verse
Mhm.
9. Verse 9 says, since much time had passed and the voyage was now dangerous because even the fast was already over, Paul advised them saying, sirs, I perceive that the voyage will be with injury and much loss, not only of the cargo and the ship, but also of our lives. So to me, that also indicates that it was just a ship that had already reached its capacity.
Mhm.
That was after they already changed ships, though.
Right. Your question was what difficulties, right? Was after they changed ships.
Yeah. So you're saying that the ship that they changed, that the ship that they were on now was gonna have problems as well.
Yeah, you're right. So it would have been.
It's interesting that the centurion paid more attention to the owner of this ship, the captain of this ship, instead of Paul, and which is what you would say would be the common sense thing to do, right? Because who is Paul? Paul is a Jewish preacher, a Jewish rabbi, and the captain of the ship, he's familiar with that route. He's been sailing there probably for many years, so he would know the winds, he would know the route, he would know what to look out for and that kind of stuff. And so it would make more sense for him to pay attention to him. Doesn't that remind you of when Jesus told when what's his name? Peter and his brother, they had been fishing all night and they didn't catch anything, and Jesus told them to cast to the, cast to the right. I can't remember exactly what it was. And they obeyed him and they got this full net. Paul is advising them, listen, don't go. I can see this is dangerous. We're going to be endangering our lives and property. And unlike Peter and his brethren, they didn't pay attention to Jesus because they didn't respect the revelation that Paul had.